How to survive Nairobi with a salary of 15,000 Kenyan shilling. I repeat, I'm making a video about how to survive Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya in case you're watching me from any other country apart from Kenya. And I'm making a video how to survive on that salary. In terms of dollars, that's like $150 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, let's say $150. How to survive Nairobi with 15,000 Kenyan shilling. That's approximately $150 or less than $150. Anyway, somebody made me, or rather asked me a question on the comment section and told me to make a video about this. And I said, let me try the best I can. Though, guys, you can hear my voice is not really that good. I got a flu. I think we had an outbreak of flu or something like that. But anyway, it is what it is. You know, work has to continue. Now, to survive with this money, first of all, you have to understand this is not a huge chunk of cash. By the way, most Kenyans, they usually earn a salary of 15K, 15,000, all the way to 60,000. This is where we have like 80% of Kenyans usually make, or 85%. They usually earn between that bracket. Now, the question is, how do you survive with this? And remember what I told you, anytime when your salary is below or 15,000 and below and you're living in Kenya, just know that you are actually in a situation whereby I say it's a tight one. And these are the things that you're going to do if you earn this amount of money. The guy told me he earns this amount of money, and where he lives, he doesn't live in these affluent places. Of course, by default, even the salary itself, it's not enough to pay a one bedroom, you know. Now, the point is, the guy lives in, how can I say, almost semi-slums area. It's like a middle between getting off the slum and something like that. Now, how do you survive this salary? First of all, surviving with this salary, there are some of the amount of money that you don't have to exceed as far as the paying rent is concerned. Remember what we said, you should not use over 30% of your cash to pay for your rent. Over 30% of this that's approximately like 45,000. 4,500. That is the max that you can go. But reality speaking, where can you get a house worth 4.5 thousand? That is 4,500 per month as far as the rent is concerned. There are places, but the only place you can get is a semi what? You know, semi-slum areas or something like that. Probably places like Kawangware, you can go to Pipeline, you can go to places. Those are the places where you can get, you know, a house worth that amount of money. Because the reality is, despite or regardless of you earning less or high money, you have to have some savings by yourself. I told this guy, the only way to get yourself out of the block with this amount of money is to first, when you get that money, first thing that you're supposed to think about is your savings. Because you're already in a mess. I told him, what do you do? He said, hey, I'm just a guy, an assistant mason who, you know, works from here to there, and this is the amount of money that I get paid. Now, the point is, how do you survive with this cash? Let's start. First of all, you have to start with the basics of the basics. And I want us to do this mathematics the other way around. People usually start with their rent, the transport, and what have you. Now, this guy has 3 or 4 important things. Number 1 is a rent. 2 is food. 3, transport, because this guy has to move from place to where he usually works. 4, he has to do something called food, rent. Actually, these are the main, and savings. Let me not call savings, let me say investing. Nowadays, we don't speak the language of savings. These are the 4 most important things that this guy has to do with this money. I know there are issues of, hey, how about clothing and what have you? Those will just come as by the way. Okay, now, one guy was actually working as a assistant mason. The other one was actually employed in an electronic shop somewhere. Now, the point is, this guy, of course, you pay the rent. I suggest 4,500. If you go to a place like Pipeline, you can get a place where you can live with that amount of money, 4,500, probably a bed sitter. You can get that. For those who come from Kenya, know Pipeline where. And I'm talking about the Pipeline of Nairobi, not the Pipeline of Nakuru. Apparently, like in all cities in Kenya, we have places called Pipeline. But then, I don't know how you guys have realized that. Like if it's about Bahati, almost every city in Kenya has a place called Bahati. If it's about Umoja, almost every place. Anyway, that's not the point. See, pay rent about that amount of money. If you have to go overboard, probably 5K, but don't exceed 5K. That is what, now you're remaining with 10. Now, 10.5, for example. Now, you set aside like 4,000 here. 4,000 here. But now, in this case, for his case, he told me they are usually provided with lunch. So what happens? There is no lunch here. So the guy has to do his budget for the sake of what? For the sake of his, food and whatever when he goes home. Now, where we have problem is here. The guy tells me he uses approximately 150 shilling each and every day. 150 shilling, that's close to 4,500. If you were to put here, that is 8,500. 8,500, and you've already consumed 5. We only left with around 2,500 to save here. Did you see that what happens? Now, when you earn this amount of money, I suggest if you can manage to save, let's say, max of 5,000. If you save 5,000, you might actually press your budget and it might actually not work. But if you can save approximately 3,000 to 4,000, that's okay. In our case here, we are left with 2,500. Let's say this guy has the ability to save only 3,000. And then you leave the 12,000 to survive on the transport, the rent, the food, and other things. Now the 3,000 is remaining. There is one thing I want us to do. The 3,000 here is still less because there is a formula I told you called 4 in 1. What does it mean? In every 4 months, you're supposed to save 1 month salary. For example, if you earn 15,000 and you save 5,000, or you save, let's say, 5,000 each and every month, it means in 3 months, you'll save a salary of 1 month because the first month, 5,000, second month, 5,000, the third month, 5,000. Now you have 15,000 in 1 month. So at a rate of every 3 months, you are recovering 1 month. But in his case, where he's saving 3,000, he needs 5 in 1, meaning in every period of 5 months, he's saving a salary of 1 month because it is 3, first month 3, 5 months, then you have yourself 15,000 in a period of 5 months. The moment you realize that your savings are around this particular point, this is where we say you are now approaching what we call the danger zone. Some people even have what we call 6 in 1. I usually prefer a healthy one is usually 4 in 1. So that at least by the end of the year, how many fours do we have in an year? We have how many fours? We have 3 fours. That means at the end of the year, you have recovered your 3 months. 12 months is or rather 9 months is gone. You've actually used the 9 months to sustain yourself and you've recovered the 3 months. Have you ever been in a situation whereby you say that I usually earn, but I don't know where my money is gone? I've been working for the last 15 years, but I don't know where my money is gone. Because the rate at which you are saving, it's actually a problem. So I suggest 4 in 1 rather than 5 in 1. So in his case, he's going for the 5 in 1. That means this guy will only save, okay, this is 15K in 5 months, another 15K in 5 months. That means this guy will have 30K in 10 months, and then he has another 6K because there is a 2 months remaining. This guy will have at least 36,000 at the end of the year. Now, I asked the guy, how do you get yourself out of block earning this amount of money, saving as little as this? So you simply take 3,000 multiplied by 12. And please, do not rely on your willpower to save this money. The problem that people make is to rely on your willpower, like I have to save each. No, you can actually lose the control along the way. This guy will have this amount of money. I asked the guy, where have you been employed? I'm employed as an assistant mason. Someone else was being employed in an electronic shop. Someone else was doing something. So what you do now, when you have this amount of money, this money is already invested. Sure, this money is not earning you much money that can actually survive you, but at least you're starting somewhere. Okay? The first year you have yourself 36,000. When now you have this 36,000, you can decide to start your own business. This is why I tell people you're not suffering from investments. The MMFs, the shares, and whatever, those will not solve your problem for now. Even bonds and bills, forget about those. You can just anyway gather the information, gather the knowledge to just understand them, but they will never solve your problem because your problem is not about investment. Your problem is cash flow, is income. That's what you're looking for. So when you have this amount of money, you can even decide to. Somebody was employed in an electronic shop where they were selling accessories about the phone covers, the screen guards, all those things about the phone. The guy actually decided he saved around 45,000 and he used that amount of money to start a makeshift kind of an accessory shop. and he's doing something, he's moving, he's progressing, he's actually advancing himself to the next level. Someone else had a link with a company that was actually slaughtering chicken and packaging, and then from where he lives in that estate, he was working and actually getting the orders for the chicken. He was telling people, I usually supply chicken at the evening. If you'd like me to supply you chicken, I can be able to do so. Then he gets the orders from the company, and then he actually supplies those chickens to the people, and he was making some extra cash after getting from the job at the evening. All right, so that is exactly how you grow yourself. But first, it starts with you saving something a little, so that at least you can be able to carry yourself to the next level. With this amount of money, honestly speaking, you can zoom in into a particular business or an engagement that you can be able to use to sustain yourself, move yourself from one level and take yourself to the next level. That is exactly how it goes by. All right, now what happens when you earn this amount of money? People tend not to think like you can do something with it. People tend to think like, now this money is so less that it can't even be saved. I told you guys, there is nothing money that is so less or too little that can't be saved. This money can actually be saved. You can save as little as 3,000. And by the way, I don't know why people usually become mad when I tell them you can squeeze yourself to save 3,000. And for God's sake, I'm telling you to pay yourself. You're the biggest asset to yourself. You should be the priority. You can even negotiate with the rent, because this is not the money, it's not for you. You're paying somebody. See, the problem with people is seeking comfort and the development at the same time. It does not go hand in hand. When you are developing, you sacrifice comfort. And when you're in comfort, you sacrifice development. That is exactly how it goes by. The moment you tell somebody, okay, but then you can save 5,000. Yeah, no, Joseph, you can't save 5,000. You know, you're actually negotiating you're negotiating not to pay yourself. It's like you don't even love yourself in the first place. And the Bible says that you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you don't even love yourself. So you have the likeliness of even not loving your neighbor, because there is no amount that you love yourself. So even the neighbor will suffer if you don't even love yourself in the first place. So if you save as little as this, then you have this amount of money, then you can actually venture into a business, venture into an entrepreneurial kind of a thing. And then from there, you can actually grow yourself and move to the next. Some people will actually take this one bill, one bill. There's some bill that goes even for 14,000, for 20,000, for 30,000. I think with 36,000, you can get yourself a very nice high-end grade 1 bill. I'm not so good with this second-hand clothing and something, but I'm pretty sure you can get quite over. There are people who even you can go to somewhere and buy the sneakers with this amount of money. If you're a young guy, there is a guy whom I usually follow on TikTok. I don't want to mention his name, but I just like the way he wakes up early in the morning and he goes to the Gikomba. Kenyans know where is Gikomba, or they know what I'm talking about. It's like the okay, let me not say it. Now he goes to that particular place early in the morning. He gets very good, nice shoes and whatever. He washes them, he makes them clean, and then he actually has like a shop somewhere. Sure, the amount of money may not be enough for you to actually rent a house somewhere, but if you go open yourself a very nice high-end grade 1 bill, you already have yourself a business. Then you go open a TikTok account. Are we together? When you open a TikTok account, you go live at the evening, you sell this clothing or you make videos about them, have an arrangement, go to the town, CBD, you rent a shop, not a shop, you rent a shelf. Once you rent a shelf, then you can be taking some of the product to that particular shelf, and then you can actually link up the people. Come on, guys, I've been talking about this thing. You can go check it up on my videos. You go buy yourself a very premium bill, open a TikTok live. You can even decide to set aside like 2 or 5 or 10,000 aside and use that amount of money to pay the Meta ads. You can pay that to pay the TikTok ads. Nowadays, it's very simple. If you can go to TikTok, you can advertise. If you come here on YouTube, you can actually pay some Google ads, on YouTube ads. You can actually do that. And then people can reach you and can buy your products. I mean, we are living in an era whereby you may less likely need to have a physical shop somewhere. You don't really need the 4 corners of walls and you have a business somewhere. I know people who are running an e-commerce, they're running a business by themselves and they simply have a rented shop somewhere. And of course, you have an arrangement how you can actually, ferry that or deliver that particular product that you're selling. That is exactly how you grow yourself and progress to the next level. Hope I made something out of this video, and I hope you've garnered something. This is Good Joseph. As always, I try the best as I can to share some information that will be beneficial to you. And if you've actually gotten value out of it, go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe and leave a comment on the comment section. See you there.